anybody home? Whoops!
Buzz off! This is my trash can!
Did you see that too?
'Tis the season of fear, a time to celebrate the dark side of gaming and all the wackiness that comes with it. So to commemorate this wonderful occasion, I thought I'd talk about one of my personal favorite horror games. One that recently had a remaster, allowing modern audiences to tackle all of the challenging puzzles and bizarre hijinks that only a point-and-click adventure game can deliver. It's a title which will require the mind of both a madman and a sane man in order to solve its many complex conundrums. It might not be scary in the conventional sense, but the ideas present in this game's narrative will no doubt make you question your own sanity. So let's talk about it. This is Edna and Harvey, the Breakout, Anniversary Edition. Within the depths of a mental hospital is where our story begins. You play as Edna, a young woman who awakens in a padded cell with her toy rabbit Harvey. She has no idea how long she has been here and no memory of why she's here in the first place. So in an act of defiance and a desire for answers, Edna decides to escape the asylum. In order to do this though, she'll need to navigate the massive facility, avoiding detection from the guards and making friends with the other residents of the hospital, all of whom have their own mental issues that make them more unpredictable and chaotic than those few sane individuals running this place. Yet what starts out as a simple desire to escape will gradually transform into a personal journey for the truth. One that will result in Edna questioning her own past, reliving events which led her to the present day, and gradually uncovering the truth behind her imprisonment. Now you might be a little confused, since from a visual standpoint this doesn't look like a typical horror game, but rest assured there's more terror to be found in this game than in most blockbuster titles. The developers are simply a lot more subtle with how they approach its darker themes, taking their time and gradually building up the suspense as Edna slowly unveils the events which led to her imprisonment. Not everything is as it seems, both in the past and the present. This is best exemplified by her relationship with Harvey. He might just be a stuffed rabbit, but thanks to Edna's condition, he feels every bit as alive as the people she encounters. While at first glance, he might simply be a source of comic relief and a trusted guide. As the story progresses, it becomes evidently clear that this rabbit knows more than Edna realizes. After all, it's thanks to him that you're able to access Edna's long-forgotten memories and relearn all these skills which she had long since forgotten about. But when you start to actually think about the context behind these memories, it makes you wonder just how much of what we see is actually the truth. In which case, what else might this sadistic little rabbit be hiding from you?
How's the family, Helmut?
Well, my cousin is in construction, and my brother joined the army. It's just me who's a bit of a slacker.
Nothing is ever as it seems in this world. I won't spoil any of the surprises, but I will say that Daedalic Entertainment has mastered the art of balancing humor with the story's more sinister aspects. One moment you'll be laughing at the absurdity of Edna's adventure, only to take a step back whenever the more unnerving revelations are brought to the forefront. Being able to effectively balance multiple tones and story beats is one of the many advantages of this genre of gaming. Furthermore, since many of these discoveries happen naturally over the course of the story, the player feels just as involved in the narrative as the characters themselves. Like any other point-and-click adventure game, the vast majority of your game time will be spent exploring your environment, interacting with characters, finding objects to complete puzzles, and gradually piecing together the right steps to navigate your world. This is tricky enough when you're dealing with relatively sane people like the Monkey Island series, but when you consider that everyone in this game is either insane or focused solely on keeping you in this asylum, it becomes evidently clear that you're in for a very rough ride. So you better make use of anything you can find. The first part of this game is simply escaping your room. From there, you'll gradually gain access to new areas of the asylum and beyond, slowly chipping away at this institution until you have a clear path to freedom. But getting out will ultimately depend on the people around you. Since the vast majority of the puzzles in this game rely on you deciphering everyone's individual quirks, you have to spend time getting to know their wants and needs. Once done, you can then begin piecing together the perfect sequence of dialogue options that will enable you to gain their favor. If, however, you still can't gain a foothold, then maybe the solution lies in your environment. This asylum is vast after all. There are many obscure details which are easy to miss, so perhaps it'd be best to keep note of certain locations and what they contain. You never know if you might need to return to them later. Otherwise, you have to rely on one of the many items you can find throughout the asylum to achieve your goal, whether by using them, breaking them down into something new, or swapping them with something else. The solution is out there, you'll just have to keep pushing yourself in order to find it. Although what I found interesting about this game was the vast amount of freedom the player has when interacting with their environment. From being able to converse with literally anything, to defacing objects and locations with the many tools you can pick up. The developers didn't have to give you this much freedom to express yourself, but it's an effective way to show Edna defying the authority of the asylum, while also instilling the idea that anything has the potential to contribute to your escape, which can result in some rather peculiar interactions.
Oh yeah, the bird bath has to come with me. I'm looking forward to use bird bath with Dr. Marcel's desk. But what's this? My hands are so badly drawn that I can't lift the bath. Zounds.
When I originally played this game, it was on the PC, but for the Anniversary Edition, I tackled it on the PlayStation. And I must say that the developers did an excellent job of porting this game onto consoles. The game's remastered UI is simple and easy to understand, with the player being able to access their inventory with ease. At no point did I feel like I'd lost track of my stuff or was struggling to simply switch between different items. Furthermore, with the exception of a few timed puzzles, Edna and Harvey the Breakout is a relatively chill experience. Granted, many of its puzzles will have you scratching your head in frustration at times, but once you begin to see things through the eyes of a madman, everything starts to become a lot clearer.
Wooga!
Wooga?
Wooga!
Wooga!
As befitting of its genre, the vast majority of the sounds and effects present in this game are stock standard. Nothing too grandiose or complex, but simple enough to express what is unfolding on screen. A sentiment which has been shared with the voice acting. It's not what I'd consider to be emotionally engaging, even during some of the more complicated moments in the story. More often it blurs the line between lifeless and dull. But it is serviceable, especially when you consider that this game was dubbed over for English-speaking audiences, which is a fitting word to describe the sound design in this game. Serviceable. So if you're expecting any bombastic tunes to send your heart racing, then I'm sorry to disappoint you. Instead of providing you with some upbeat and whimsical music, the vast majority of this game's soundtrack is tailored towards evoking a more haunting and occasionally comical atmosphere. It's music that better fits the tone of this game's world, from gentle beats and melodies juxtaposed with more foreboding and eerie tunes. It's not the best soundtrack for a light-hearted puzzle game, but for someone interested in building suspense and drawing attention to the more disturbing aspects of their game's world, it's perfect. Honestly, I'm impressed this game's music is able to still evoke such feelings after so many years. I wish I could say the same for the visuals. Unlike the music, the original graphics for this game aren't what I'd consider to be stellar. When you consider that it came out the same year as games like Dead Space and Fallout 3, it becomes pretty clear that these developers were working with a tight budget. Yet despite how cheap and unrefined the original game might have looked, the fact that everyone tends to gloss over it should tell you everything you need to know. I've always believed that a game can have terrible visuals and yet still be a compelling experience. Edna and Harvey the Breakout is proof of that. So when it came time for the remaster, it's pretty clear that the developers intended to recapture the wacky characteristics of the original game, while also providing them with a much needed facelift. Needless to say, their efforts weren't in vain. The Anniversary Edition is able to effectively refine its classic visuals, allowing its characters and backgrounds to truly shine, while also highlighting its more absurd and obscure details, making Edna's journey of terror and self-discovery a beautiful yet unnerving endeavor. The game's use of light and color in particular is an effective method of showcasing the character's descent. As time goes by, you'll find it harder and harder to ignore the true darkness that's present in this game's world, which is often hidden behind Harvey's maniacal sense of humor.
Shall we set fire to the moon?
No, Harvey. We are regular, average, mentally stable citizens. Dr. Marcel is the one who's crazy, and we'll prove it.
Then maybe after we've proven it?
Yes. Then we can set fire to the moon.
Yippee!
Edna and Harvey is what I would consider to be one of the most underrated point-and-click adventure franchises in recent history, so I'm happy to see the original game receive all the love and care it deserves from this remaster, allowing players to enjoy this absurd world that Edna and Harvey are a part of, whether through the lens of its new and improved visual style or with the original classic look. It's a game that will let you take a nosedive into insanity while also make you laugh at its sheer ridiculousness. Not to mention the central mystery at the core of this game is quite captivating. It'll leave you guessing as to how the story will unfold right until the very end. Even after all this time, it still manages to remain one of the most engaging point-and-click adventure games I've ever played. So for this Halloween, if you're looking for the perfect game to make you question your reality, then maybe now is the time to break out with Edna and Harvey.